Oh, hey there. I'm just sitting by the fire, hanging out with Rapt Collective. Go check them out, man. Doing amazing shit for the community. Bless. The reason why you would think of something out of the blue in a really mundane moment is to remove yourself from how boring or how basic or how simple it is. You know what I mean? It's just like, imagine if it was like this. And you go, oh, the power of creativity. You know what I mean? Is taking one thing and making something different. And it's the escapism. Like, you get to live in another world for 3 minutes. Or if it's an album, you get to live in this world for the hour. And then if you're a fanatic, that shit's on loop all day. And so it's like, that's how we get to tether ourselves between infinite possibility and where we really are. You know what I mean? It's just like you listen to your favorite song while you're at work, grinding. To be able to pay the phone bill, to be able to get the internet listening to you, you know what I mean? And so you're tethered between these two things of like amazing possibility and what I have to do to survive, which is then the danger, and that's where the creatives kind of, people lose their minds. I'm a rapper on paper, like I'm just an MC, but then I'm being invited into places where it's like I'm part of a judging panel of someone who, it's like doing things that like, I'm like, what, you're asking me for my opinion about this shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, coming off a tour and it's like, it never stopped. You know what I mean? Like, it just meant that I was now touring in different capacities of the industry and the infrastructure. So now it's like I get to sit and facilitate workshops. Now I get to sit and be on, like, you know what I mean? Like on panels where we're giving grants, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I'm on a panel where it's like I'm a funding advisor and giving out, like, I think when I look back on it, it's like the people who I advised and they were successful came up to like, I think it was like $35,000. Like, it doesn't feel like there is like, oh man, you were on tour and you were going around the country. It's just like, yeah, I'm like sitting at home in the middle of a pandemic and being able to, you know what I mean? Like, sign off on people being able to fund their creative aspirations. So imagine if you go to your homie's place, you're there every day, right? Every day. And in the 7 days, 4 days out of those 7 days, it's raining. You come to this house, you're raining, it's like whatever, and you notice that there's a window open, and that window has been leaking water, right? First day, kind of a guest. Is it your place to kind of be like, hey man, like, that's kind of might be a problem, whatever, you kind of like, all right, I'll sit back. Second day, it's not raining, so that's not a problem. Third day, raining. Fourth day, raining. Fifth day, not raining. Sixth day, raining. Seventh day, you get there, someone walks and slips, snaps their shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, totally fucks themselves up, right? And you're kind of like, oh, man. And then now you're wrangling with this kind of dilemma in yourself of just like, I should have said something. Had I said something, that wouldn't have happened. Even you coming in were like, might be a problem, but you left it because no one else was there to think. But then that one event then totally changed it and revolutionizes the standard of care and attention to make sure that nobody else has that happening to them, right? That's collaboration. Because then it's like everyone working together to make sure that, yeah, sure, like, all right, we fucked up and we overlooked this one thing, but now we're all going to stand together and make sure that shit never happen again. I've never had anybody representing me in the musical space, right? Like, so I haven't had a manager. I've never really been part of a record label. I've never been part of like an agency or, some management and all of those things that like are pretty much like the key infrastructures that an artist needs to be able to kind of navigate the industry, right? And so because I've always done that for myself, and always, that was always the point. I never really wanted to be an artist. I think this is something that I mean, I wanted to be an artist, but not as the front of a thing. I've always wanted to be involved in the creative aspects, but then also be part of the logistics and be like, oh, okay, cool. And when we go on talking about collaboration, like I was always like, oh yeah, I know this producer who could work with this person, and I know this guy who does video, and this person dances, and this, like, so I've always been more into the networking and connecting part. And then it kind of branched out and became where it's, oh, 1/6 is the guy who then ends up on tour. So that tour video is me on tour with Earthboy, who was the first Australian hip hop CD that I'd ever bought. And so then going from that in 2004 to 9 years later, and I'm on tour with this guy. As in a personal phone call, he called my phone and was like, hey, I'm going on tour, would you like to come? So for me, that whole background thing of networking, connecting, doing this, jumping this, working this, doing this, da 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 da, in 9 years, I was able to take this guy who only knew 2 people when he moved to the country to then be traveling around the country with the guy who I only knew him from the CD that I'd bought. It was just like, yo, dude, like you are killing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like in the sense of it. So it's like, so being able to do that and then scale back, and where I'm just like kind of like, oh, okay, cool. I don't have to really chase more success than what I've already been able to achieve. I don't think there's necessarily a dilution of hip hop. It's just what's happening is there's a substitution. What we think it is and what it actually is, they're kind of been swapped out. It's like sugar and saccharin. You know what I mean? Like they have the same basic elements, but they're 2 very different things, and even do 2 totally different things to your body. Like, you know what I mean? Like just, but they are only there to accommodate one thing. It's a sweetener. And that's why it's available commercially, is as the substitute of this one thing that is like probably like, you know, even at its most diluted, is very raw and like will fuck you up. That's what's happening with, it's like it's gotten to the point of mass commercialization and production and output, that in its, like, it's become illegal to sell it the way that you used to. It's like, you know how they say that they used to have cocaine in Coca-Cola and shit, where it's like, oh, we gotta phase that out because it's a problem. Like, you know, that's kind of the thing that's happening. So so now we've got vanilla Coke, Coke Zero, whatever. So it's like your hip hop is choose your own category, and that's what it is. I'm even quoting Mos Def, the opening of his album, where it's just like, hip hop is gonna be where the people are at. Like, you know, it's like, if we're doing good, hip hop is gonna be doing good. Like, you know, and so that, I think that's kind of the tenet in terms of my understanding of what's gonna happen here, or what is already happening here. Being able to see, like, you know, like sister like Sampa, like, who, you know, came in and against odds that were kind of superficial, because she just floated through that shit. It takes you have to be a strong person, like, you know what I mean? Like, to be able to navigate this fucking industry and to be able to get to that point and then like kind of go out and then have to deal with that at a global level. Like, so imagine, like, you know, that's other places and going and, you know, going around the world. But because at the time where it was needed everywhere, we needed to see a strong black woman talking her shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it, and I think it's the universe that gave us the, you know, like that gift before the world felt the shit. Like, because it's like that album was like a fucking, it was like the soundtrack of the pandemic in terms of like, we're gonna get over this. Like, you know what I mean? This is light work. In terms of what that's encouraged and what it's making people realize here, this is the fertile breeding ground of that kind of potential and that like star power and that like, because Melbourne as a city, like in terms of music capital of the world, it's been that, because you come here and there's music happening everywhere. It doesn't matter who you are. The boss balling homies in the game, or you just like, this is your first open mic and you're nervous and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm like, I treat you the same. That's always been my thing. I think I get that from my folks. That's like how they were growing up. They were just like, my dad was just friends with everybody. Everybody, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like we go to the supermarket, like he's talking to the guy who's begging for change at the front, like talking like they're homies. And I'm like, how the fuck do you know this motherfucker? You know what I mean? Like, and then after we're going to the president's house. It's like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of, you know, it's like, no, he acts different in front of this person, and you know what I mean? Like, same cat. And my mom as well. Same person, like top to bottom. In terms of advice to the youth, man, treat these people like your family. Because if you want to be in the industry, that's what it's about. Like, you know, it's like it's a whole collection of everyone's skills and talent and experience. And if they don't come together to really harness and build up this thing, then it's siloed. And then it's like, it's sort of like, oh, only 360 is a popular rapper. But then it's like, we don't always like have to be, we can't all play at the same show. Like, we can't all do the same thing. However, we can do a multitude of things everywhere with like the collective spirit and collective energy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to be at your show, but I can be like, yo, like I bought a ticket anyway. You know what I mean? Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, just to know that, like, yeah, cool. You know, it's like, put some toilet paper where the leaking window's at. Sometimes I'll be sitting with certain cats and it's like, man, why are you friends with everybody, man? And I'm like, why aren't you friends with everybody? Like, you know, and it's like, it doesn't take anything from you. You know, it's like, if you're being genuine, if you're being yourself, you know what I mean? Like, I should be the conglomeration of all my influences and all the people in my life. And so again, the understanding is just like, you know, it's like, if I can confidently be as I am in front of you so that you can tell me what you know of me, so that I can take that knowledge and understand how to apply it to myself, so that I know how to properly be myself wherever I'm at, then isn't that the point? If I'm not inviting that in everybody else, then how do I then step back and then critique? It's like, nah, he's not really being authentic in his raps. Did I inspire any authentic conversation when we weren't rapping? When the mic's off? When the lights aren't there? Where no one knows that we're even having this conversation? But what do you leave with? What do I leave with?